Hello. Why did I say that so? Oh my God. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another band batch,
Band batch.
bad batch
Band batch,
music and sound
bad
commentary
batch,
live
band
stream.
practice.
A-
Yeah,
um, we are. Thank you for bearing with the time change. We are going to be talking about the music and sound from episode 12, Rescue on Ryloth. And let's just everyone introduce yourself. I'm Xanthe.
I'm Justin.
I'm James.
Um, and let's do this. Do you want to just jump right in? Do you want to jump right into examples, or do you want to maybe say like one sentence about your overall take on the episode?
Yeah, well, we had the ranking to start off last week, and I'm curious.
Oh, do you
Some
want
of
to do
us
that
had.
again? Yeah.
Well, I'd love to. Well, maybe even if we don't do the rank, let's do the ranking. But also, it'd be great to hear how we all, because I know Justin and I had some feelings last week about like we were kind of waiting to see how this would play out. So
Ah,
I'm curious,
okay.
curious about that follow up from Justin specifically. So
Okay,
Yeah,
so let me ask some questions then, and do like thumbs up, middle, or down. Okay.
got it.
So were the threads that were left hanging for you last week, were they answered for you? Okay. Cool. Cool. James, do you have any questions that you want to subject to the thumb raise?
yeah, do you feel um does everyone feel satisfied with the resolution to the problem last week, which was Hera's parents being captured? Is everyone satisfied? Did it leave us wanting more? What do we think?
Oh, that's a good question.
I mean, it's a good question. It leaves me curious, absolutely, to see where things are going. And if anything, it leaves me relieved. It was a very tense
Yeah,
episode, and thinking
yeah,
about it as like an arc, like a 2 episode arc. Um, this yeah, it was just I said in our text exchange, it was just I was like, that was tense the whole episode. So I felt a good
yeah,
sense of relief and curiosity. Satisfied, I don't know, but relieved.
yeah.
If I were to
What about you?
answer, oh, I am probably in the minority in saying that I didn't feel like I was left hanging last episode. I felt like
Hmm.
last episode it could have been a complete episode, but I think that's just because my brain doesn't really work in a very plot oriented way.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
so I don't really feel the
You told a
sense.
story, right?
Yeah, I don't really feel the sense of like tension resolution because the whole thing, because life is just a series of tensions and resolutions. And even when you said that, I was like, wait, what was the main cliffhanger last season? Because I I see so many possible areas of tension that I don't know
Sure,
what the main one is. But
sure.
we'll
Let's just
see.
leave Hera without her parents. So that's okay. Let's
Let's just end that line and that story.
just kidding. Just kidding. I get you though.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah,
that's
I totally get you.
one of many problems, but there are
Sure.
so many
Yeah,
problems. So yeah, I didn't really have
Well,
expectations.
and we got a definitive answer on whether. I mean, I personally got a definitive answer on whether Senator Ta was alive or not. I know they said at the end the attempted assassination, but
True.
yeah.
And I
And then they
maintain
said,
I never thought he was dead, and I never really cared.
yeah,
I was
Yeah.
like, he's not dead, and he's not.
and he's not.
Well, it's set up. Does anyone know Hera's mom's name? I don't
Eleni.
remember. Eleni. Okay. With that zinger that she says, right, where she says, I seen how you treat your
Treat your
allies.
friends. Oh, your allies. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, that was great. That was awesome.
I'd rather be
So,
your enemy.
I have to
so in,
note that they pronounce her name the Greek way. Eleni is it's a super Greek name, and
Mm.
oh,
yeah, it's spelled the same way too.
cool. So what's funny is in some ways I'm like a little too satisfied
Oh.
with how everything went very well in this episode. And to almost the point where I was expecting more twists, and I had a great time, and I was on the edge of my seat like Justin throughout the episode. But once it ended, I was kind of like, oh, okay, they succeeded. Oh, okay. I mean, what we do have is Hauser and all his folks being captured. So there is like kind of a thread where where I imagine that's probably a point of something that the Bad Batch and Omega are gonna probably do something about in the future in terms of they might even go back and save them. Or maybe they'll get Rex involved to help them or something like that. But regardless, I felt like it was a neat bow that they tied. They perfectly got their parents, Hera's parents, rescued. Omega's safe, everyone's safe. None of the bad. I was thinking that this might be an episode where Crosshair was going to take out a member of the Bad Batch. But I guess that's on the horizon because now he's got now his mission is to go after them. Right now he's now I'm hunting them down. I've got an assignment to go do that. So yeah, we might see that. But I guess in some ways at the end I was like, okay, everything kind of worked out the way that they hoped it would. Because here's the thing: we know that Hera's mom is not around in Rebels,
Right.
So I don't know. Are we going to show her die in this show? Maybe not this season, but maybe.
I don't think I was ready to see it.
Likewise. Yeah, good.
Yeah.
I don't want to fill in the gaps too fast.
Right, exactly. You don't want everything to be completely, fill in all the blanks. Kind of in some ways Revenge of the Sith really fills out a lot of gaps, kind of really quick.
It really does.
Yeah.
I like what you're saying, though, James, with everything was kind of packaged neatly in a bow. I was expecting a couple more twists, you're right, especially at the end when Hauser surrendered and kind of all the
that wasn't a big old
wait.
That itself
well, hold
wasn't
on,
a big old
No. I think I let yourself.
When that happened, I was actually rather surprised at Crosshair's what's the word I'm looking for? Reserve?
Personal vendetta?
Restraint, right?
Restraint. That's the word. It was almost. I thought Hauser was going to get taken out right then and there. And
likewise,
that the fact that it didn't happen oddly showed. I mean, Crosshair is a very mature individual and he's a very serious individual. But I was kind of hoping for a snapping point. He's getting. There's the snapping point. I feel like with him, and I thought kind of like what you said, James, that this was going to be a moment, especially because we have them all in the same area and knowing they're in the same area, the Clone Force 99 and Crosshair. So I thought, I
have a theory about that. And my theory is, I think Crosshair. We've seen him have a number of interactions in which his clone nature is being used against him by the Empire. They're doubting the clones. He necessarily wasn't privy to the conversation that they had with Tarkin had with the Kaminoans about how clones are going, they're going to try to move away. But he did face some of that discrimination from his own platoon, and I have a feeling that Crosshair, I think he doesn't want to kill his own clones because he almost wants to prove their worth and that they can. And here's the thing, I think we might see those folks get reprogrammed like Crosshair for next week. Like Hauser, those folks, the reason why they might not have killed them is because they're let's just crank up their chips because obviously there's an issue here, right?
Oh, interesting.
Kind of like they did with Crosshair. So
my thought was that Crosshair it wouldn't be satisfying for him to just take out the Bad Batch. He wants to talk to them. I think he wants to, do it properly, not just, I think they want, if he wants to kill them, which I'm sure he does, I think he wants them to know, them to be looking at his eyes, when he does it, And I also think that Crosshair, I think they lingered on his face a little bit longer than I expected. And he was mostly, a pretty stolid face, but he did sort of his face did sort of twitch a little bit. I don't know. It was the type of lingering look where I thought maybe he is questioning a little bit more than we were prepared to see. And I've always, since episode 6 or 7, I have felt that even if he were to take his chip out, at this point he's done so many bad things, it would be really hard for him to live with himself. And he would feel probably motivated to, protect his own psyche and to just, if someone like I would hope that there's like a therapist there, friends, like supportive people there with him if they take his chip out, because when he realizes everything, he's gonna need some help. Like,
At the very least, the Caminoan should play some of that spa music for him, right?
Yes.
To relax him a little bit. I can't take credit for this idea, but someone at Star Wars Explained, our Clone Zone the other day for this episode, made the point that it's possible that Crosshair might feel abandoned by the Bad Batch.
Totally. Absolutely.
That there's a version of him inside that, because he's kind of being driven out of beyond his control by the chip. So hypothetically there is a version of Crosshair that's still on the back, almost in the sunken place, right? Like
well,
we get out.
We talked about this
who's
with Wrecker too, because he was like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I tried to stop it, but
right,
like
exactly,
I couldn't
right.
help it. And
So hypothetically, Crosshair's in there, and maybe the Bad Batch hasn't made any effort to come back and rescue Crosshair at this point yet. And so he might be even in the back of his mind being like, my friends like abandoned me, and now I'm out of my control, and maybe he feels resentful towards them in more ways than just he's evil now, right? So
and there's a chance he doesn't. Even with thinking like that, he may not even want to kill them. He has
Right.
to, because he's programmed to now. But he
Right.
knows that this is a program. He knows that it's against what he wants to do. But perhaps hunting them down, chasing them, and now having full reign to do that is a chance to resolve before he's kind of forced to do the orders he's following. Good soldiers follow orders. That's what he's about. He has to do it whether or not he wants to, and now he needs to know why. Perhaps that's like you said, this abandonment. Why did you do this?
And spoilers for Jedi Fallen Order, but there's a character that has that exact arc where they become an Inquisitor, and they feel resentment towards their former Jedi Master for letting them get captured by the Empire and forced to be brainwashed into being an Inquisitor. And they have a lot of anger and rage towards their old Jedi Master for that exact reason, because they kind of were abandoned by their master and allowed to become a tool of the Empire. So kind of interesting parallel there.
Yeah, not to get too much into like dark side stuff, but one characteristic of those who are tempted by the dark side is that they form attachments and feel like other people should be responsible for, like they feel really attached to what people owe them and what they owe people. Like not even in, it doesn't always seem like a bad thing. Like if you think of Anakin, Anakin felt very betrayed by Obi-Wan, in the end. And even though, Obi-Wan probably feels vice versa, but Anakin, we see in Clone Wars, we see in Revenge of the Sith. We always see Anakin as like a super loyal person. And so he expects like loyalty and like unwavering support, back. But it's not the Jedi way. It's the Jedi way to, you're loyal to, but only so far as you're maintaining some sort of a light balance.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. Anyway, whew.
Yeah.
Nice little talk. Let's get into some examples. Oh wait, we have some Bad Bantha.
Bad Bantha is an idea for the show. That's good.
Bad Band.
Bad Band.
See, because we could do Bad Band or Band Batch. There's just so many B words. Well, I accidentally said. I accidentally said Band Batch. Let us know what you think in the comments.
Yeah.
Although Bantha's funny because they're like, isn't there a recording label or something called like Bantha Music Tracks or something?
Ooh, Bantha Tracks is
that's good.
Bantha Tracks is something, right? It's like a
it's
like a news site or something like that.
Oh, I think Bantha Music is like a studio or like a recording label that they use. Like if you look up any of the soundtracks. Cool. But anyway,
that's cool.
Lots of music. Should I start again?
No.
Okay.
I'm
Great.
The reason why is because I want to do this one first, because I don't want anybody else to do it, and all I have are drums. Yeah. And if you take away my example, then it's like,
okay.
all these All I have is drums, Xanthe. Just let me play my drums, okay? All right.
See,
So
you see that as like a shortcoming, and I see that as like a unique value that you add. So, okay,
yeah.
but
Well, this is what we need. Every percussionist needs a string player friend to validate them, okay? Because we all have a sense of
guess I'm
inferiority.
that.
Okay, here we go. So where does this happen, y'all? Here we go.
That whole thing.
Yeah.
Oh.
I had an idea, and then you kept going, and I'm like, oh no.
Let me play it again.
Okay.
Is it when Rampart is giving his speech?
So that's one idea. What do you think, Justin?
The one I had in my head is when Crosshair finds out that they're on the planet, and he starts looking at off in the distance where they are. There's a big swell, and there's some big doo-doo-doos at that point. But then I think your example is longer than how long that part lasted.
Do we have any? Jonas says when they land on Rylaw. Okay.
Hmm.
All right. So Xanthe, you're spot on. It's when Hauser is giving his speech.
You know the only reason.
Wait a second.
Okay.
Who did you wait? When you said who was giving his speech, who did you say? Actually, now I'm going back on
Rampart.
You said Rampart. Okay.
Am I wrong?
Which speech does Rampart give? I'm trying to remember. You're talking about the Empire.
Ornfrita has left me
No.
disfigured.
I'm
Oh.
sorry.
Okay.
You are not correct.
All
right.
point
Okay, another
back.
speech. I did the other speech.
It's the other speech. It's Hauser's speech to the clones.
Oh, at the end?
Yeah, and it's right with the strings, like doing. I think it's like a 4 chord or something. It's definitely not a tonic chord. It's like a subdominant chord. It's like dun 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 dun, and all the strings are kind of doing like a driving thing. Right, and it's like it's right when he says, I forget the quote, but it's right when he says like, we can't do this. This isn't right, and it's like right after he starts to make a big point. You get these big hits that go like in unison with the and this is, I'll tell you where it is. This is
Like a timestamp.
It's 1553.
Sorry, 15?
1553, right? I think I lied.
That's like the middle
No,
of the...
I lied to you.
Yeah,
It is right around like 22 sorry, 21 or so, 21 minutes or so.
Okay.
21:20 or something like that. Yeah. And you've got the strings going boom, 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 do, do, do.
Oh. Okay.
Big hit. Big
that's a good
time.
one.
But look around
That's a
you.
good one.
And now we're ordered to target the very people we swore to protect. That
Yeah.
part?
Yeah, and then coming up.
Okay, I'm glad. I almost did this, but I didn't because I ran out of time.
It's a really nice cue. It's really nice.
Oh my god. Okay, wait. before I'm just gonna put it out there. I did not like that cue, which is fine. I didn't like that cue, and I wrote in my notes the whole ending just sounded like Avengers, which to some
Okay.
people I think that
That's why I
is
like it.
amazing. And it just personally, I just don't like it.
Yeah.
I was like, this
I
is
like that.
Avengers.
I
Dude,
love the
it's
Avengers.
You know
it was
what?
like it was like doo, doo, like the same, Endgame thingy, and I just don't like that. I think
I love it.
I think it's
I
like the
love it,
laziest
y'all.
writing, but that's
Yeah,
fine.
I love it.
It it works.
So
I really liked the cue at the end of last episode, but I
Yeah,
did not.
yeah.
This one I felt like, okay, we're in a Marvel show now, and I didn't like that.
What I really like, and maybe Xanthe, maybe you can help me do this with your piano. I love when you get a build and swells to something, and instead of landing on the tonic, it lands on like a 4
4.
chord. A 4. I love
Yes.
that. You flake
It
it out.
happens very often.
Could you play that real quick? Maybe do like a.
It's
like
why
a-
everyone
like,
liked the Rise of Skywalker trailer.
Oh yeah. So like if you're like.
And then it usually goes to like a 6. Sorry. If we're in G.
So maybe.
Yeah,
So like
it was like
normally we would have like. And can you play like a 1 and then a really clear 5 and then back to 1 real quick, and then we'll do the same thing but then go 1 5 4. So here's a 1 5 1, which this is what it normally would want to do harmonically, right? So 1 and 1, but now this is what it does. It goes to a 4 instead, which throws you off, right? So like 1 5 4.
But you mean it goes to the 4 on the downbeat instead of the 1, not instead of the 5.
Exactly.
Okay.
No,
okay.
so it still goes 1 5, but instead of going back to 1, it goes to 4.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Yeah. So having that throw off, you almost feel like, oh, what's going on next? And then Xanthe goes, that's really cheesy. So.
No.
But in this part, it goes, it's like dum, bum, 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 right? So it hits those hits right on the 4 chord, which is really nice, and gets my my Avengers blood boiling. So, anyway, good work, everybody.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna skip to a related example.
Cool.
Am I? Or should I wait?
Okay.
Okay.
Is it
Where are you
Rampart
laughing?
speak?
No. Okay.
Jonah Hong.
Where
The other speak.
and this had a 4 on the 1 as also. I don't know if I should play it on violin or piano. So let me just do it on piano first, and then I'll do it on violin. Because the end part is definitely on violin. Sorry, okay, the beginning is harp, and then the clarinet's gonna take over, but in the same register, so I'm not gonna switch an octave. Just don't worry about it. I'm gonna try again. Okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
B major.
think I know what this is.
And it's like sweeping at the end. It's like, like it's like very swoopy and romantic.
Hmm.
I think I know what this is. I have a guess.
So
What do you got?
Jonah has a guess. Surprise, surprise. Our stump Jonah so far. So Jonah says Omega and Hera say goodbye. What do you all say?
That would be my guess as well. Or, because I don't quite remember, it was either that or as they're leaving the planet, like they've escaped kind of a thing. But I think that one gets a little bit more intense. So I'm going to go with the same as Jonah. That was my guess.
Okay.
All right.
What you got,
We're
James?
bandwagoning on Jonah.
Can I ask you a question, Xanthe? You played this like little lick
Yeah.
at the end when you're on keyboard. Is that part of it, or were you just messing around?
No, that's part of it, but it's like a violin run. It's like.
Okay. Well, then if it's a violin run, then this is not what I'm thinking of. So
What were you thinking?
I'm not gonna tell you because maybe it's something later. I'm gonna keep that to myself.
All right.
It is something else happens where there's a little run in this episode, which is really cool. But it's not on violin. I'm gonna go with the crowd here. I'm gonna follow along.
The Bantha wagon?
What's happening right now is everyone's bandwagoning on Jonah, who is correct.
Okay, cool. Well, I mean,
Wise choice.
it makes sense.
My defense, I thought of it
Omega,
before I
we've got
saw
a
it.
little
So.
I'm gonna have to like make a thing where you have to type in your answer and then it shows up, or you hold up your card. That's funny. Exactly. That's when Omega and Hera say
Nice.
goodbye. We get Omega's theme, and we get it with like the major 4 because it's in E major. Sorry, it starts on a 5. Half diminished 7th. Oh god. See, this is why I don't sing this. Yeah. But anyway, it's pretty. I like it. With little sus. It's pretty chords.
It really is pretty.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Nice moment.
See, and it started on that second part started on the 4, and I thought it was fine. I didn't think it sounded like Avengers.
Yeah, and it's nice. It has some of those hints of the conversation that they had when they met, right? It's in some ways very, very similar to that cue.
Yeah.
Omega's instrument is still the harp, still the on the nose harp. Whenever you hear harp in this show, and maybe 6 times out of 10,
It's strings too. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
you know what it is, and also something something very specific to Omega's theme isn't just the melody of. Like, her melody is often accompanied with tenths, which is like the interval between like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's literally a tenth, and it moves in motion with each other. And that texture where, I don't know if I'm making sense, but, instead of like one hand just plays a chord and then the other hand does a melody on top, it's like the harmony is created by these 2 independent lines moving at the same time. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's called homophonic texture.
They're so disparate in octave that they don't have the same effect as if they were closer, right? A tenth is a really far away, so they sound like very different voices, and they don't You're right. It's a more interesting dynamic between the two voices as opposed to just a black chord, right? So
Yeah. And it's also a little bit more like you could do the same thing with thirds, and that's more common.
yeah.
But it gives sort of like, I don't know, it feels like Omega and another person. Like it feels more like a duet in two
Yeah,
different voices. So
that's
Omega
cool.
and her brothers, let's say.
Yeah, I like that
That's a
a
nice
lot.
one. Question. Right.
Yes.
My dad asked me this question when we were watching this episode together. Uh, is there any point in Rebels that Hera mentions maybe not the name Omega, but knowing somebody like Omega? Because this is such a fun, significant. I'm curious now if this is their only meeting, that the only time they ever meet each other, or was there must not have been any mention.
No,
To
there
be honest,
hasn't.
I
There
would have to
hasn't.
rewatch all of it because
Yeah.
if there was like there may have been an offhand thing that can be
Yeah,
interpreted that way, but I would have missed it.
Yeah,
yeah.
which is a
I
very yeah.
remember nothing like that. I'm also what I would love to go back and see is because there's Kanan in Rebels is very what's the word hesitant to work with Rex or any of the clones after Order 66, right? And Kanan's
Hmm.
so that all makes sense. But I don't remember what Hera's reaction was to working with Rex and the clones. So I'm curious if she had a more warm or a more open mind to working with clones within the rebellion, because obviously she had a very good experience working with clones
Hmm.
in this particular instance. She in one day she saw both like a group of clones that is completely separate from the Empire and working on their own, and then she saw groups of clones that were working with the Empire basically defect to protect her and her family. So you got to wonder that she would walk away from this experience being like, you know what, there's a lot of good in these clones, and obviously they didn't do anything on purpose, so
It's interesting. I thought you were going to say that obviously she had a bad experience with the clones, but I mean, I guess it's half glass full. Like you could think
well,
of,
I guess sorry, I meant like obviously she had a bad experience like before this, but this was like the redemption, and she was able to see all that
Hmm.
redemption just went in one day. Like
yeah.
if anything teaches you that there's good in these clones, this would teach you that, right?
But
um
from a different point of view, you could also think of it as there were some good apples, but most of them are
sure
bad, and I'm
for
still
sure,
scared of
yeah,
them. And
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, I guess I
I'd like
watched
to
all of
watch
it.
that, go back and watch her, and yeah,
I
I'd
want to
love to.
rewatch it all now.
Yeah, it's good. It's kind of weird. We haven't got to see this. I guess we got to see this all throughout the prequels, but it was just rewatching it again. I'm just like, this is the same character and the same voice actor, like that we see like as this like badass general in the rebellion, and she's like. And she's great, and she's doing, she's courageous and she's awesome, but she's like a little kid, and it's just really interesting to just see this character, and especially with animation you can really nail what that you don't have to worry about casting an actor that looks pretty much like them. Like you can be like on the nose what that character would look like as a child, so in animation in some ways you get to see this, like it's just kind of surreal. You're like, well, I get to see this, I know exactly what's
Oh,
going to
I see
happen.
what you're saying.
It's
Hmm.
just really cool to see the
Yeah, it's a
to see the
consistency that we wouldn't
yeah,
get in live action
right,
unless
unless you it's
de-aging
CGI or
technology.
whatever, right, for
Yeah,
sure. Or
Benjamin
obviously
Button.
with Tamora Morrison, right? With like
Yeah.
she's like in a or
Well,
or Ewan McGregor now,
yeah.
so
I mean, as
so
long as you're not doing opposite of chronological,
yeah, exactly.
yeah, as long as
Right,
you're moving forward in time, sure,
right,
sure, sure.
right.
Uh, why not?
So anyway, but it's cool.
Jonas says Hera was definitely more warm toward Rex and Rebels versus Kanan.
Cool,
Mm.
cool.
That makes
Yeah,
sense.
I feel like I kind of remember that too. Um, so cool, cool.
Okay, Justin, you're up.
All right, I got a musical one for you. I don't have
Cool.
chords, but I got a little ditty here that I wrote down. You'll hear that? Okay. See if I can screw this up here.
I remember that.
I
Yeah.
remember that too.
Okay, wait.
Want it again?
Yeah, I'm gonna be off screen for a second, just for 1 second, but I'm still
Yes.
here.
Okay, here we go. And right before it, there's a bunch of stuff right before it, but it's around. There's this nice little uh, kind of little action happening. That's not exact, but it's the little dun ba da dum ba da da. That's the one
Yeah,
I'm focusing on.
and we've heard that in previous episodes, and
Mm-hmm.
it's oh, we have a guess that came in.
Have a guess from Jonah.
Okay.
Chopper's mission.
Okay.
Nice.
What I was gonna say was there's another sort of like I was talking about with the homophonic texture of Omega's theme. There's
Mm-hmm.
definitely another, like it's like parallel fifths or something. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
something like that, you know? Okay, wait. I remember what it sounds like, and I'm having trouble putting visuals to it, as usual. As usual.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah. Anyone else
Okay.
have a guess? K-pop times?
My
James?
guess was when I was gonna say before I saw the chat, Chopper going and they're scouting and watching Chopper. Hera and Omega are watching Chopper go, and basically a lot of people have been joking online that this is like Chopper's first taste at blood. You know, like he's so violent in Rebels, like he's just like so ruthless in Rebels. And like this is like his first time like going on like basically a zapping spree, you know. My murder bot child, exactly, Molly.
There you go.
Exactly.
Molly Jonah. That's funny.
So the answer is yes. It is during Chopper's mission. Does anybody know where in Chopper's mission this theme pops in? It's
at the beginning. It's when he
it's at
first
the
like
beginning.
jumps out.
He jumps out. Not quite. Not the
Okay.
one I'm thinking of.
It's before he surrenders, though.
Definitely before he surrenders.
Oh, it's when he's in line with the other.
Just after that.
Okay, he's in line with the other droids, and then he. What does he do? Yeah.
Yeah. No. This is.
I mean, you all are right. It's Chopper's mission.
Yeah, this is all Chopper's mission, but I think I was gonna say, Molly B, your description, my little murder bot child, is correct. This is right when he just goes out of line, sneaks around, and immediately goes up behind that R2 unit and just takes it, just zaps it right in the no hesitation, just takes it straight out,
Like,
and then immediately goes to. And then I love how he immediately goes to work and he's like, "Yeah, I can't do this. What do you mean?" They're like, "What do you mean it's not going to be sorry? I can't do it." I love
Chopper so much.
I'm a huge Chopper fan. I love Chopper.
Like one of my
I wasn't at first, but he grew on me. Chopper grew on me.
Okay, all of our listeners, and just to make sure that the channel's family friendly, only go check out this video if you're above 18. But there's a video where they have subtitles for Chopper, where they have all the Rebel footage, and it's just like shows what he's actually saying, and he's just swearing and it actually when you look at it, it actually sounds like he's saying these like
it's Dave Filoni,
obscenities. Right? I think it is Dave Filoni that's like that's actually doing the voice, and they transform it, and it really does sound like he's saying like what the he's like, it sounds like he's like swearing, but they've like garbled it, right?
Yeah, it does sound like that.
Oh, I gotta go watch this one. There's another one just like that with R2D2 from the original. There's one that just does the first 3 films, and then I think someone else tagged on the prequels after that. But there's a great one with R2D2 talking to Luke Skywalker and everything he says. It's pretty spot on. That's great. Yep, great. Chopper to the murder rescue.
Jonah's comment, Chopper's silent assassination, makes me wonder, like, what if this were like rescored, and for that moment it was like just silent, like just like the Holdo maneuver, and it was just like, and then you get like this seismic charge, like a real like everything. I don't know. That would be.
They
funny.
Just make him look like a psycho. Basically, they just have it like, or who, I don't remember who scored. Anyone seen Hereditary or
no,
or what's the other one? Midsommar.
Yes. What's their name? I know their name. So good.
Amazing score, and the sense of dread and horror that composer brings. I would love to hear Chopper
really
with that
funny.
composer. Would be very funny. Yeah.
Matthew asked or confirms Dave Filoni does the voice, and also James, if you find that video, can you drop a link?
I will find that. Yeah,
Sweet.
it's hilarious. The Hacks and Cloak
Is what it's called, or the YouTube channel?
Yeah,
is
Hacks and Cloak or Bobby Krilk is
Bobby Krillick
Krilk
is the
Krilk Krilk.
composer to Midsommar, and
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure
Mhm.
about Hereditary, but definitely Midsommar.
Okay, but
Yeah,
I mean
Hacks and Cloak.
to the Chopper swearing video.
Yeah, I'm gonna get that too.
Okay, cool. James, you're up again, or do you want to go?
Yeah, let me go for this next one.
Do it.
Okay, and I'm okay. Here we go. All right, here we go. I'm gonna get my crappy notation. I'm not. My notation is so bad this week that I'm not gonna even share it with you. It's like basically only makes sense to James. Okay. 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 Here we go. And by the way, this is a approximation in some ways. The mix is so low in this part for this particular instrument that it's actually pretty difficult to discern the exact rhythms, but I think I've definitely nailed a couple of them here and there. Here we go. Okay, here we go.
How's her speech? Sorry, I'm just kidding.
Rampart speech.
Rampart speech.
All right, here we go. Let me do it again.
Sounded
Can you play it again?
military-ish.
Because it just sounded really cool anyways.
Yeah, I know. One more time, for personal reasons. I'm just kidding. Are there any other instruments playing?
Yeah. There are a number of other instruments playing for this. There's strings. It's a decently full score.
Oh.
And maybe not decently full in that there's not like the brass and winds, but there's definitely like low drones. There's strings that come in and out. There are some spots where it is just percussion. There are, but it's not for the whole thing. But I think what I can say is that this sound only happens in this spot in the episode.
Okay.
This wood. So this is a wood block. I know that's probably very loud, but
Do we have any guesses? So it sounds like a military related. I mean, it sounds like something with people in armor for sure.
Oh, for sure.
My guess, since you said it's very low in the mix,
and so by low in the mix, you mean you can barely hear it above the dialogue and stuff.
The snare drum is very low in the mix,
very, very
and just
low.
What's happening. And it's
is there
for good
dialogue
reason.
happening?
Not a lot, no. A little bit, just a little bit of dialogue is happening.
Okay, that ruined it. As I was gonna guess, it's when they're discussing the plan on the ship, and Hera is kind of saying, we can go in through here, we can go in through here. I know the area, and they're kind of coming up with their attack plan. But my other, nope, that's my guess, and it's wrong.
Okay, we have some more. When the ships, K-pop time says when the ships are taking off to head to the refinery. Molly B says Crosshair figuring out the diversion. Jonah says when Wrecker and Tech blow up the cannons. Matthew says Filoni doing the. This this isn't a guess. This is a fun fact. Okay, wait. No, I want to read it. Filoni doing the voice for Chopper was supposed to be temporary. Oh, it was supposed to be temporary. That's funny. Like Anthony Daniels for C-3PO was supposed to be temporary. Okay, and the music. Okay, is there like smooth jazz trumpet happening? Sort of.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, one second. I forgot to play this one part of it real quick.
I'm sure it'll really make a difference. Oh, wait. Oh wait, were you making that noise?
Yeah.
Oh, you were joking. I was like, Justin, be quiet. I'm trying to hear James's example.
That's so funny. That's so funny.
God, the way you do jokes, it's so seamless. You get me every time.
It's because I'm from New York. That's the problem. We're a little too sarcastic.
Oh my God.
Any other guesses? Anybody?
I got a hard one here.
I just threw the Chopper link in the chat, by the way.
Okay, thanks.
Any other guesses? So it's a very small clip, I should say. There's
Is
like
it
it's
at
not
15:55?
Yeah, it is at 15:55. Where did you get that from? What?
Because my notes
No.
say 15:55 grooving
okay.
string action, but I just never went back and because when I take notes, I'm like, so I don't actually remember. I just know at the time that's what I thought. So I'm just trusting my note.
Yeah. Here's the thing: is that the snare drum is so low in the mix, like so low in the mix when this happens. Basically, Hunter and I think who is it? Echo who climbs up with Hunter and like knocks those guys out at the top of the wall. It's Hunter and somebody else, and they knock somebody out, and I think it's Echo. And right after that happens, you see Omega and Hera sneaking aboard that ship. This is what's happening is they are discussing, and then Hera says, like, my parents would not agree with this plan. That's the little bit of dialogue that happens, and then they sneak aboard the ship, and the snare drum is so low in the mix that you have to really. But that's what's really nice about it is that you can feel the snare drum more than you can hear it, and the snare drum is throughout. Basically, snare drum starts where Justin's cue was, where Chopper starts. That's like snare drum comes in right there, and then it just doesn't quit throughout this whole scene, basically. This whole sequence. Everybody's setting up their plan until the plan really explodes into action. We just got this snare drum really just doing these little like except for the second line stuff that I did at the end there. But yeah, it stays there and it really keeps the momentum going for the scene. And you can just see that throughout this show, there's so much like underlying felt percussion that keeps things moving, and it's almost like you don't really focus on it some because it's just there and part of the atmosphere in some ways. And that's why I said, like, I don't know, I could sit there all day and really like rewind those tiny, very quiet snare drums and figure out the exact rhythms, but that's not the point. The point is that it's supposed to be felt, and they use what are called ghost notes on the snare drum, right? And ghost notes are when you have notes that are supposed to be felt and not heard. So if I had a rhythm that was like da 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 da, I might fill in between those notes with ghost notes. So the rhythm would be, but I might fill in with ghost notes. So you can hear that in between those notes. So like you'll hear the accents, but all the little notes are the ghost notes.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I have a question because how are those notated? Like, how do you know to play ghost notes? Because I feel like those types of fill-in, like they sound like distinct notes that would be written in.
Yeah,
it's
a good question. So there's two ways that composers can compose. Sometimes what they do is they just straight up write all the 16th notes out and they just put accents over the notes, and just stylistically you're supposed to just play everything that's not accented really low.
Okay.
So
it's like,
but that's one way.
Okay.
Then there's actually explicit ghost note, which is putting parentheses around the notes that you want ghosted.
Okay.
So that's like the explicit, like play this as a ghost note, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
We have that in
but
violin
sometimes,
too.
yeah.
But
like if you ever listen to drum corps,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times if you get a pattern that's got accents on 16th notes, like the way that you play within that style is to keep everything low except for the accent. So like. right.
Yeah.
So yeah. A little lesson about ghost notes, everybody.
Nice.
So the like that's sort of similar to like the neighboring note, like the appoggiaturas and little grace note. That's similar to grace
Ooh.
notes on like
Yeah, they're kind of
violin.
like grace notes. Yeah, sure.
So like
We do have grace notes too, by the way. We have basically a flam. So that first note is, and then the low note is right before it too. So, but yeah,
it's funny though
yeah,
because grace and ghost that sounds like sort of the same thing, like spirit note,
a
ghost,
little bit.
spirit,
Yeah,
grace. Like
grace. That's interesting.
like the little.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
And if you listen to this is just reminding me because it's something I've been studying it for a little bit. If you listen to traditional Irish and Scottish music, a lot of the windblown instruments and even the string instruments, they take out articulation and they add endless amounts of ornaments. So that's how they repeat notes, especially if you
Yeah.
play something like a bagpipe, which is just a drone stuck in mixolydian forever at one volume.
Yeah.
Unless it's a very particular. There's a couple bagpipes that can staccato, but mostly it's just a drone. So to get repeated notes, they have to throw in incredibly fast
For the notes to speak
accents.
is what you mean.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah,
is because
because
otherwise it's just it sounds like one long thing unless you have
Yeah.
something to articulate. And which is funny because I actually had trouble. I'll do another example. I had well, Justin, you have to go again. But
No, it's your turn, Xanthe.
oh, okay.
It is your turn.
So I had trouble like hearing some of the cues because I feel like there was so much reverb, I feel like there were so many like maybe there was a layer, and I felt that way about one of the trumpet cues that I couldn't distinctly hear like where the beginning of the note was because it's sort of like
Yeah.
a slow onset. But okay, here's a cue. Okay. It just happens once, but there's a part two that I think is related.
I know it. I know it.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Okay, I got it.
Go
Anybody
for
want
it,
to guess?
Justin.
Phil? Do we have anything
Well,
from?
Yeah, do we have any guesses?
Yeah. I don't know exactly where it is, but I know what it involves because of what is thematically happening there, right? So,
Mhm.
so I'm sorry. Play just one more time, Xanthe, so I can get my notes.
Yeah.
So I can
Do
get
you want to
my
hear
pitches
part A
straight.
and B? They happen. They happen in
just
order. Like
part
A happens
part B.
first, and then B. Okay.
Let's do part B first. Or just-
Mhm.
Well, it's really funny that sample you have is like pretty similar to the
I
to the one in
know.
the show.
It's
And normally it would go ba da da da. It's because this is a clone theme.
Mhm.
So that like this happens when Rex is on screen. It happens throughout Clone Wars. So I'm guessing it has something to do with Hauser. I'm guessing Hauser. And yes, and okay, and here's I'm so glad Jonah just said that. Okay, because now I'm realizing that what I was talking about earlier with that lick is what you played in the beginning, which is it's a celesta lick, isn't it?
yeah.
Yes.
Mm.
Okay. Okay. So this is the lick that I thought you were playing earlier, which is there's a little celesta. Right?
Oh, okay. Okay. So when I did the like the
Yeah.
the string thing, you were thinking of
Yeah.
which is
I
in
just didn't know
the
what the
yeah.
Yeah.
which is in the scene. Okay, so go ahead, Justin. What were you thinking?
No, exactly that. It's when it's specifically right after. Well, the second part B is specifically right after Cham says, "We trusted you, Hauser. I won't make that mistake again." And then you get Hauser kind of looking serious, and you get right. Or oops,
Yeah.
there it is.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, wait. Now I have a part. Now I have a. That was easy. So now I have another question for you.
Okay.
Okay. When do you hear
Oh, I know. I think I know.
Okay, I'll play it again.
Is it on French?
Wait,
Is it
wait,
on
wait,
French
wait.
horn?
I think so.
Okay, I know where. I know it.
Oh, interesting. Okay, I'll play it one more time. You'll notice it sounds very similar. That last one, it gets louder. It swells.
High velocity.
Okay, I know where it is.
Okay. Oh wait, we have a couple. We have Jonah. Hauser gets ready to go out and talk to the clones.
Mm.
So this is at 2030. Yes.
Yeah, I wrote 2025, but yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, and this is exactly where Hauser's putting on his helmet, and after he talked to, so this is right before Hauser's speech, but it's like him
It's
getting
when
ready.
he's helping them escape.
Yeah. By the way, I just want to go like before we get too far away from K-pop. Had this.
Oh yeah, an interesting
This
comment.
quote. Maybe the ghost notes used foreshadow the ghost crew in
Oh, yeah.
Rebels. That's the kind of deep
funny.
type of like analysis that
That's
we
a-
want here.
That's a good
Yeah.
pun
on the
right
show.
there.
Can you
That's a good
imagine
one.
like Kevin is like, yeah, man. So I got like ghost notes in my snare drum, which is like totally foreshadowing the ghost crew, bro. It's like such a deep pull. You'd be like, whoa, okay, man, you really go deep on this, Kevin.
I
love
believe
it.
it.
I love it.
I'm
I
curious,
believe it.
Molly. Can you say more? The fact that the clone theme doesn't get its proper ending bugs me so much. Do you mean like Do you mean like it leaves you hanging with like?
Because
Instead
normally
of-
you go
instead of going-
da da da. Yeah.
Is that what
You know
mean?
what's interesting? Now that I'm thinking, think about this. This is just a thought I had. We hear that same theme for Rex, but why would he use the same theme for Rex and Hauser? And then anytime the clones, well, first of all, he's cloning his theme. Okay. And in some ways, it's different every time it happens. I'm not even actually joking here.
I know.
This seems like
Laughing at
this seems like a joke. It seems like
That's
it's a K-pop Times joke here. But
Damn it, I tried to laugh
but-
just because just in case it was jokes that I'd be.
But no, but here's the thing: is that these characters are similar, but they're not. Like, and because they're clones, but they're not. So it would kind of make sense that like Rex would have the full theme, but Hauser would kind of have a shadow of the theme, but not the full theme, right?
I
It's
tell
almost
you-
like they're all.
I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So that's an idea, right? Maybe the reason why it gets cut off is because it's kind of referencing that they're kind of the same kind of, but they're different, right?
So this is what I
obviously they're
called it in my own notes. Noble clone. So
Noble
it's like
clone.
it's the clones that are like the good guys. Still, it's like when the clones
Ah.
are doing something noble, like I don't know, whatever. Think of another word.
Yes.
other
It's like
than
when we're
noble.
supposed to root for them, right? That's like
Yes,
basically-
that's what that's
Yeah.
yeah. They're
Yeah.
being ones that we what you said. Okay, yes, but
Or with
but
Rex.
yes, I agree because we hear with Rex, we don't hear with Crosshair, obviously.
Yeah.
Noble clone. Okay.
And it's interesting that it's a horn, right? Because you think horn is the military bugle, right?
Well, but
that
but
makes sense.
which isn't necessarily bad. The Bad Batch are all they're all soldiers.
Not at all bad.
Yeah.
Not at all bad. I just mean that's it's interesting that that's kind of fitting, obviously, that it would be the war horn, right?
I mean, whenever they spring into action, like I feel like we get the horns, we get the snare, we get them like getting their troop in order. Whatever. I don't really know much military language. Getting the soldiers.
I think
in
that's what it is.
line,
Getting their
doing
troop
the
in
troop-
order.
Getting the
Getting the
truth, yeah. I mean, we all know that the bugle has a history on the battlefield of being something to cut across everything, but it's also really it's such a film score trope to
Oh,
use
yeah.
the brass as like the heroic theme or
Right.
like
It's the
so-
America instrument.
yes, the solo trumpet and
Yeah.
as our hero comes from the fog.
Or taps, right?
Or of course some, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or what is it after fanfare for the common man? Aaron Copland, ba da dee da
Oh
dee
yeah.
da.
Oh, what a
It's like
beautiful one. Yeah.
Yeah.
epic, yeah. You know.
So I think these are some things we talk a lot about on this show, and Xanthe, you talk a lot about on your main show, which is like the uncommon language of these instruments and themes. Like we talked about with what's Cad Bane, right? Which is like,
Mhm.
this
The
is like
the
the
pastiche of the
audience knows
Western.
that this means like stuff, something's about to go down. As soon as you're like, ooh, what is about to happen? And it's just because we had that like drilled into our brain. This military brass and snare drum thing has been drilled into our collective society's brain for much longer than
Mhm.
spaghetti western, like for millennia, or not millennia, but like actually
It's
maybe
definitely
we
not
had war.
millennia.
No, man, we've had war drums around for a long, 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 long
Yeah.
time. Maybe
Oh
not,
yeah.
maybe not necessarily brass instruments, but definitely drums. But yeah, for definitely hundreds of years we've
But
had brass.
the perfect fourth, perfect
Oh,
fifth
yeah.
horn thing. I think like America,
Oh yeah. But
America.
for sure, for sure, for sure. So yeah, that's why it hits there. I mean, and even people that don't really quote unquote like really pay attention in history class or anything like this, they're still affected emotionally, even though they may not be able to
If
say
you
like, oh, yeah,
if you grew up in this culture, which is why it's so
exactly,
dangerous to
exactly,
extrapolate too much. Meaning, like,
exactly.
yeah, like if it makes sense to us, it's because, well, we probably grew up hearing that, and also we've probably watched a lot of other movies that use that, and
Yep.
it's inescapable for us. But if imagine someone who has like never heard the trumpet or like never heard
Mhm.
this kind of music, it would not maybe not work at all. Um,
Absolutely. And we want to, in this channel, especially when you go into music analysis, you sometimes the Western approach to things really takes center stage in terms of like, oh, we've got a big happy major theme here. Well, there's plenty of cultures around the globe that don't associate major with necessarily a happy sound or minor with a unhappy sound, or
exactly.
even have those
Mhm.
ideas. So yeah, I think this is definitely, and we talked about this a little bit with the Western trope, where that's like they know their audience, they know that the audience is mostly within the United States, or at least countries that are accustomed to those
People who would
tropes.
the type of people who would have Disney Plus are people who have watched mainstream stuff.
Likewise, like
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
likely,
And
right? So
also, I just want to honor these Hauser comments because I have
Hauser,
major Hauser hair envy. Ugh,
oh, he's gorgeous. He's
I want
gorgeous.
Oh,
that haircut.
beautiful.
Yeah.
um, yes. Oh, look, our very own Justin has a comment here. Yes, hearts for Hauser.
Hauser. I love
Um,
Hauser.
Hauser just wears the face better. I love that because he's a clone. Like, ooh, you're really wearing that face that we all have better. There's something
hair
about it.
does that. I swear, hair does
It
that.
does.
It's kind of like
Absolutely.
the most handsome penguin, right? You're like,
Hair does
you
that,
know,
and also being a nice person does that.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Oh, we're all Hauser Sims here.
All right, we're getting off.
We're getting off topic. Okay, but
All right,
It's good. Good
Noble
stuff.
Clone
next week the
slash
Hauser
Hauser.
show.
Yeah, yeah. Forget the other names. Hauser show.
The Hauser show.
Okay, so who's up next?
You
I
are
think it's
Oh, me? I think I just did like.
absolutely.
Didn't I just?
It,
Okay. Oh,
no,
you
it,
just.
it
No,
went it went me, you, Justin, me, and now you.
you're right. Okay.
Can we just do the trumpet from Hauser? I might be wrong.
Oh no,
Continue.
you just did that, didn't you?
Thank
You
you.
just did that.
Yes. Okay. Yes, I did.
Okay, sorry. No, it was so riveting that I just wanted more. All right, Justin. It looks like you're
All
up.
right, more Hauser. More Hauser. No.
Sorry.
No. Okay, I got a sound effect for you all. It's got two parts, but I'm only going
Yes.
to play the first part because the second part's going to give it away. But I'll do the second part once we get to it.
Awesome.
Of course. All right.
I think I know.
If you need another hint, I'll do the second part, but I
It
know
sounds
that
like
one will give it away.
Sounds like some crosshair business.
Mm-hmm. One more time.
Okay, I
Any
don't know
guesses
actually.
other than
Any
crosshair stuff?
guesses? It is not Crosshair. Well, it's not Crosshair. It's not
Oh, I
Crosshair.
think I know. I think I know.
Not Crosshair.
Okay, what's your guess?
No, I don't know. The two.
Okay, Jonah says the probe droid.
Yeah.
Can you
Anything
play the
else?
second part?
I will play the second part.
I'll play the second part.
I gotta turn off my mic though. Hold on.
Scanner to system. Scanner to system. Scanner to system.
Jonah, you are right. It is the probe droid.
Awesome.
Sweet.
One of my favorites. I'm loving these episodes right now because as we're getting more and more Imperial, like proper Imperial presence, we're getting all these classic sounds from the original trilogy of movies. Because we were first introduced to this sound in Empire Strikes Back, right on Hoth in the very beginning, right? Although this version is a little higher. This is again me and the different tones of the Empire as the time goes on. Hold on, I got it. Is it right here? Is the old one, and this one is a little higher. It's like an octave higher. Very similar.
So is that the sound of the probe droid or the sound we hear when we see the probe droid?
So it's the sound of the probe droid as he's flying, or it's flying around. So that's its hovering sound. You hear this in the episode. Well, of course, when the probe droid finds the Bad Batch and starts to transmit over. But in the very beginning, we have all these probe droids flying around over the crowd. Or during Rampart's speech, all the probe droids flying over the crowd. We get little hints of that, and of course the occasional which actually is someone speaking, which is fun. It's hard to tell what they say, but the best I can get is scanner to system. Is the popular one, scanner to system, scanner to system, and then there's more. If you look up, like I see the Rebel base. At least in the Empire Strikes Back version, he says things like, "I see the Rebel base. Can I pursue?" Yada 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 yada. And in this one, I have no clue. I couldn't quite get what he was saying in this one, but such a good sound effect. I couldn't help but make this one.
That's a good one.
That is a good one. Oh, the probe droid.
Which is funny too, because it's almost. Wait, where'd it go? Here it is.
You're
almost getting a chopper.
Almost.
Right, when you started doing that, it reminded me of Chopper. Yeah. I startle very easily. Okay.
Yes.
Oh my god.
I love Chopper. The droids.
I love that. Yeah, Chopper does like the Zoidberg thing from Futurama,
Yes.
like, you know, the whoop, 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 but Chopper does right.
I love the fact that Chopper has little hands that stick out of his
right?
Little droid head, and even when he's caught, got his hands up as he's rolling around. He doesn't need to do that.
God, you know what? I know that they've been testing it at Galaxy's Edge, having droids, but what they found is that they would really need people to be around the droids to make sure people don't like tip them over, like kick them and other things. I just really want to see Chopper like in real life. Like I think that'll be so much fun to go to Galaxy's Edge and like just see like we're moving around the park. That would be so much fun. Because you know they made a live action Chopper for Rogue One. There's a scene where Chopper rolls by in live action, which is really cool. Yeah, there's like it's an Easter egg. It's like when they're on Yavin. Yeah, Chopper rolls by for like one, and the ghost is in the final battle too. So yeah.
I have one more.
Okay. All right.
Oh, you can't hear that, huh? No, you can't hear that. There we go. Okay.
last part. It's that last part that it's
And then we do hear some strings.
Yeah, what is this?
uh,
So this, yeah, this music is typically involved with Rampart, right? And
Yeah.
and the Empire, right? The bum, 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 right?
it's very
So I'm guessing it has something like
Rampart.
maybe it's hit, maybe maybe it's his speech. Maybe is it?
The speech.
The whole episode was just Rampart's
It's the
speech.
speech. I know.
um, is it the two that I'm thinking of? It's either when he tells Crosshair Rampart. I'm agreeing with Rampart. It's either when he's telling Crosshair, "I could find someone better to find the Hera if you can't do it," or it's right before that when he's talking to Hauser, and Hauser, is saying, "I could, I'll do this." Senator Ta wasn't shot by the
Ooh, yeah.
by Cam. It was that didn't come. Oh,
So what
who's
you're saying is we
responsible
hear this
then?
twice.
Yes.
Okay, we have this is interesting. Okay. We have a couple more guesses that confirm that that agree with either one. So Jonah says when Rampart talks to Cham and what's her name? Eleni. Okay. Eleni in the cell. K-pop Time says Rampart speech. And Jonah says, to be fair, Rampart's theme plays in Rampart's speech. Okay. So all of you are right, but there is a super
Yeah, there's
right
a
answer.
specific
Because
version that you're playing. Yeah.
then we also, okay, so what I just played was. It's kind of more free flowing. And then
Anybody
another time we hear it is. Oh, crap, sorry.
Real quick though, does anybody else get major Godfather vibes?
That is that what I've been thinking. I was literally just about to say,
I've been
like,
trying to figure it
Can you
out.
hum it? Can you hum it?
yeah.
I mean, okay, so
Yes, it's a moochie. It's a moochie. Yeah.
not to be confused with. Okay, Jonah
Ask
says.
me on the day of my Rancor's wedding. Don't you come and ask this from me. Ask me to do this for Mooch.
I can do these things, guys. My whole family is Italian. I can do this. Don't worry, everybody.
It's like sit in the background. Sit in the background. I'm gonna make them an offer. They can't refuse. What are you gonna do?
Anyway, Jonah says definitely when he talks to Cham, and Jonah is definitely correct.
Yeah. Okay,
The
great. Awesome.
The first one was when he's talking to Cham. It's more free. It's less defined. It's more free flowing, more rubato. And the second time when he's giving the speech, the rhythm is a little bit more definitive. Like I feel like we heard his theme so many times this episode. I feel like each time it gets a little bit clearer and a little bit more crystallized in like a little bit easier to transcribe for one. And I just want to remind everyone that I did do this one last week too. And we had a whole conversation about whether this was going to be a Rampart theme or a Caught by the Empire theme.
Oh yeah.
And so I think we were right. Like
Absolutely.
this is definitely present lots for Rampart. So, yeah, hopefully everyone knows it now, so we can benefit from hearing it in the future. Especially if it's an Easter egg. Especially if like it's a place where we don't see Rampart and we hear that, then we would know something's up. Anyone else have one?
I'm fresh.
I'm done.
out. Sure.
I'm out.
Yeah.
Nice.
out.
What is everyone's
Lots of-
favorite, or like what comments do people have overall about the music or sound in this episode?
I felt like the music was very not center focus of this episode. You know, it was not that. I mean, we're watching the episodes for the music, of course, because you know we're doing this. But like in the sense of it felt more subdued. There were a couple little moments that it pops out, like Hauser's moment with the theme. Maybe when Chopper does has a little mission, it's kind of the music kind of picks up and it's nice and loud. But it was really not. I don't know. I felt like it was just a lot lower, a lot more pushed back behind the dialogue and the sound effects this round. And even some moments that just plain, I mean, not that every moment needs music, but there were moments that just didn't have anything. For whatever reason that may have been.
I liked that, but
a stylistic choice.
I noticed like when
or
Hera's
whatever.
like when Hera is in the cell,
Yeah.
it felt very lonely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's very few spots where the music really is supposed to take center stage in this episode. It very much does its job, and in that it supports the action to the point where it's just integrated into the whole. I mean, it was an action packed sequence. I mean, there's this huge sequence where they're sealing the ship. Hunter and Echo are knocking people out on the tower. Chopper is zapping people. It's a lot going on. And like I said, like some of these percussion cues are they're just there to support everything. They're not really even there front and center. So not a lot stuck out for me, but there's definitely these little thematic moments. I think the themes have grown on us enough.
We heard Hera again. We heard Hera's theme again.
Hera. We heard Omega's theme a little bit. We heard obviously the
Bad
Batch.
Batch.
Rampart.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, there weren't a huge amount of big musical front and center spots, except for obviously Hauser's speech, which I thought was fantastic, not cheesy at all.
The Avengers.
The Avengers, and I loved it, and I can't imagine
that's totally
why
fair.
anybody wouldn't like it. And
I mean, okay, wait, this is actually like a good. Sometimes I get nervous to talk about things that I don't like because I don't want to like rain on someone, because I want to be very clear that I personally don't like it, and that does, and sort of like we were talking about, whether or not you have the fuzzy American military like hero associations with the horn and those types of march like things. This is also just a very personal association thing, and as classical musicians, and not only that, but like depending on where we were raised or just even what bands we knew before we knew other bands, whichever ones we knew first will always be like the original for us, even if it's like, even if that's the derivative thing. So yeah, I think about that. I think about that a lot with music, because I feel like I know so much music from other places that are not necessarily just in media, and so when it comes up in media, I might immediately think like, oh, but but that's the exact same as blah blah blah, and I prefer blah blah blah. But sometimes it doesn't bother me, and it's just my own, and I'm not right. I'm like not right or better. It's just that's the order in which I was introduced. So that's just it.
Absolutely. And I think that's something that's great about your channel, Xanthe, which is like, there's lots of things that people like don't like about their Star Wars when they're watching, like, oh, I don't like how that character did this.
I don't like Luke.
I don't like Luke, etc. But sometimes the music, for whatever reason, maybe people don't necessarily aren't always listening to music critically. Maybe they're not classical musicians, or maybe they just don't feel like they know enough. And they feel maybe intimidated by breaking down the music. But I think that what's great about your channel is that you you break it all down and say like, hey, there's something
Mhm.
to look at critically here. Just like any other part of Star Wars, it's not just like it's all good.
Yeah.
That's not
Or all bad, or like just because
or all
one
bad,
YouTuber
right.
says that John Williams rips, like, there's like a lot of anti, not from, Star Wars fans don't make anti Star Wars music videos, but like classical musicians will like rag on Star Wars music. And
Right.
sometimes Star Wars fans will watch those videos and think like, oh, am I wrong for liking this? But there is like so much in between. And there's like, I just feel like the conversation is lost in translation, and at the end of the day, it's all still opinion. So that's what I hope.
Yeah.
That's just what I hope to do with the
Absolutely.
channel,
I
is to
think
help
with
I'll hold my hand out and be like, no, we can all discuss this together. And
absolutely. And if you love music, a music that you're listening to, same thing with if you love a TV show or a movie or anything, like don't let anybody tell you that it's bad, no, for whatever reason, right?
total
Um,
Mandalorian. A lot of people were like, this is just like a ripoff of a Western, but I'm not like super familiar with the Western genre. And so
Mm.
one, I didn't even notice at first. Like I had to learn about, like, didn't really notice. And because I didn't really notice, it did not bother me at all. Like I
Absolutely.
didn't notice any of the things that other people may have found derivative, because
Yeah,
Right.
by
that's
the
not
way,
something on my
so
radar.
is Star Wars, everybody. Like
Yeah.
Star Wars is a ripoff of Western samurai movies. It's a ripoff. I'm using
All
that
of it.
lightly. Like
yeah.
that's part of the thing. It's supposed to be tropey. It's supposed to like make you think about other types of film, but it's set in space. Yay. You know?
Wait, I want to
I
put
remember yeah.
yeah.
Instead of like a black cowboy hat and a tan cowboy hat, it's a red lightsaber and a green lightsaber, right? I mean, let's get real here, everybody.
Plus everything built. I
Uh,
mean, this is like a bigger art discussion, but yeah.
Absolutely,
Well,
absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, before we stop, K-pop Times did say, when Tech does his cool drift move, the sound effect of the engine stuttering was really satisfying. Yes,
So
and
good.
Justin agrees.
Yeah.
So
Um,
good.
Hunter's electronic theme is amazing to hear. I don't know if you mean Crosshair. Maybe you mean both.
Yeah, I'm not sure about Hunter's.
But I did
elect-
want to say something.
yeah.
Oh, hey, Blue Pig. I did want to say that I'm trying to put together like what Crosshair's music is, because I was still like, maybe I was wrong from episode 1 or 2.
Yeah.
I still think that
I
theme's
think
gonna make
you're
a
right about
comeback.
that.
I think it's
Yeah.
gonna make a comeback. But right now it just seems like Wrecker's music is the same music. Oh, Jonah, you meant Crosshair. That's what I thought. Wrecker's music is, sorry, his music, what's his name? Crosshair's music is like
Crosshair.
the same music as when Wrecker's chip was going off. So it feels like that is like chip music. In my
Mm.
notes, I wrote that theme, that electronic theme, as the chip
Yes.
wah.
Mhm.
It's like the
Yeah,
Inception.
because it's
wah.
not Crosshair. It's not actually Crosshair that we're seeing on screen. We're seeing an influenced
It's like
Crosshair.
the possessed. It's the It's the
So
compromise.
like yeah.
And
You know,
also
Omega
cross.
gets her theme. Like you can develop it as she develops, but Crosshair, I mean, he's either going to somehow come over and realize what he's done wrong, or have his chip removed, or whatever, or die. Right. So, I mean, if there's not much to develop character-wise, maybe the Connors didn't think it was necessarily to give him some like a really distinct theme,
Well, because
his
we don't
character
have a
isn't
we don't have a distinct sense of his personality, because he's taken over.
Sure.
He's possessed like by this chip demon or
Yeah.
whatever. And also, I was thinking another Crosshair musical moment. Like, it's easy to get stuck in thinking about things as motifs and melody and harmony, and that's why I like having you
Right.
guys on the show, because like I've got that down. Like I can think in terms of melody just because I play a melodic instrument, and I can think of the themes in terms of things that you sing and play on the piano.
Mhm.
But there are, so many other aspects that also characterize themes, and that could be like
Oh, yeah.
rhythmic elements, that could be like sound design elements, and production elements, and there are a lot of other things. And so I was thinking,
Sneaking, right? That's
That
like
another-
you hear that something sneaky, right?
so I was thinking
Exactly
another
what you're saying.
Crosshair, quote unquote, theme, a Crosshair sonic signal, I guess you could say, auditory, oral signal, is not necessarily, we don't really have like a theme that you can hum, but it's a symbolic like pitch bending. It's like the technique of warping notes is associated with Crosshair. So you like will hear like a note like boo, and then when it cuts to Crosshair, like we'll hear like, "Brrr." So it's
Right.
like, yeah, it's not that he has a melody that you sing; it's that Crosshair just makes notes melt.
He makes my heart melt too. So,
Aw. I mean, it's almost like Fennec, their theme, where it's both this melody and also just the act of the these nice bends. It almost doesn't matter if it's a note or a chord, as long as that happens, it works for Fennec, and we recognize it as their theme.
Yeah.
Or musical representation.
Exactly. There can be a lot of signatures that are not just one type of thing, and there are visual signatures too. There are lots of things. Blue Pig Gaming. That's why I do not concern myself with writing similar riffs to songs I know they aren't copying it. It just feels familiar. Yeah, I mean copying. It's those copyright. Those court cases are getting a little bit ridiculous.
They're really ridiculous, and it's like, guess what? Blues musicians have been playing the same chord progressions for decades and decades and decades and decades and decades. Nobody ever accused them of copying just because they're playing the same chords. Okay, it's called form, right? It's called genre.
Yeah, if you all are interested in this sort of topic, I recommend a video 12 Tone just posted, I think yesterday, on the YouTube channel. It's called 12 Tone, and it was like a response to someone else's video that was like, why all modern music sucks, and it was a pretty good breakdown, pretty good rebuttal.
Spoiler, it doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, that's all I have. Thank you. I mean, how do you all feel? Pretty good. 3 episodes
pretty
left. Right? 13, 14, 15, 16.
Gotcha.
Whew.
Whoa! Wow! I
Oh,
can't believe we're already here.
We're getting
wild.
there.
Right?
Oh my gosh, we're getting there.
Yeah, I'm very curious for this finale. I'm curious if there's going to be. I mean, what the last 2 episodes are usually a 2-parter, kind of a thing.
Sure,
Seems to
yeah.
be a tradition. I'm just saying a common thing with a lot of these shows. I'm surprised this one was a 2-episode. Actually, this kind of little 2-episode arc here, because we haven't really had that yet.
No.
It's been very like, here's a mission, here's a mission, here's a mission.
And maybe the Cad Bane, right, with like the 2 episodes, but like that's not
true.
really,
That's true.
not really. They were very different in many ways, right?
Yeah. This one was a direct stop, and this is the next thing that happened.
I like the arcs.
Yeah, me too. So I'm curious to see what our last 4 episodes will bring us.
So curious.
Yeah.
Thank you everyone for joining us for another tentatively called Band Batch.
The Band Batch.
I like it. The Band Batch.
Hey, if you all like it, then I'm just gonna keep that overlay up for next week, and then we'll just remember that we said that.
Who coined that?
I did, because I made a mistake. I said, "Welcome to another Band Batch."
Oh, you said that. Okay, great. Okay.
See,
Well,
I can
good
make
job,
jokes,
Xanthe.
but only when it's an accident,
Xanthe actually makes some very, very funny jokes.
and they're all accidents. That's true.
You made a funny one the
I'm
other
not
day that
funny.
I thought was pretty funny.
Thank you.
I don't remember what it was, but it was funny.
Gotta love how James is remembering that one time you did at one point make one funny joke. I just can't remember
what it was. I remember what it was. I sent you an emoji, this emoji, right?
Okay,
You know, this emoji, and
Yeah.
then Xanthe said like that.
Oh,
That's when jokes fly above my head. That's what Xanthe said,
Oh.
and which I thought was very funny to make
Appropriate.
fun of themselves, but also made a great joke about, it's actually
Oh
a very
my
meta
gosh.
joke, Xanthe. A lot of layers to that one. It's a good one.
Yeah.
I'm only good for the meta jokes. Anyway, let's do our sign off.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Cool.
Do 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 do
Ba-da-da-da-da.
do do do.